Welcome to the Anointed Life with Coach Blanche. We have faith-fueled conversations for our freedom, healing, and kingdom purpose. I am your host, Blanche Di Domenico, a freedom and purpose coach for women in midlife. Each week, you'll hear inspiring stories of biblical truths, practical steps to help you rise into healing and live the life God has appointed you for. But tonight is so special because I feel my newfound friends. I'm so honored to welcome in Anointed Live podcast our missionaries. Their names are Kelly and John Williford. They are the directors of Happy Horizons Children's Ranch in the Philippines, that's why it's so dear in my heart because that is my home country. Um, Happy Horizons Children's Ranch is a refuge for exploited and vulnerable children, offering healing, education, and hope in the love of Jesus. And one thing's for sure, my pastor, Pastor Johnny Chase, they go way before I even met them. Pastor Johnny Chase, our pastor in Beach Assembly, that we'll talk about more later. But Pastor Johnny was just raving about you gotta meet them. You gotta meet John and Kelly. They're coming. They're coming to our church because they're missionaries to the Philippines. But so, welcome to the Anointed Life, John Kelly. How are you guys?
Thank you, Coach Blanche. Thanks for having us today. We're doing well.
Good.
Yes, thank you for having us.
Yes, and again, when I met you in person, I mean, it's just so amazing how I personally feel like, especially with Kelly, because started speaking in Bisaya.
Yeah,
I was like, oh my goodness, she speaks my language. Felt so special. I felt so connected. And Pastor John, you already know how amazing your wife is, right? But just when,
Right.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. You made the right choice. But Pastor John gave an amazing sermon also. So we were so blessed. Beach Assembly was blessed to have them. But before we do dive into your ministry, I really do want to get to know both of you better, if that's okay. So I know Pastor Johnny's, told us a little bit in the church, but I just really want to hear it from you guys. So, let's start with Pastor John. Growing up, were you raised in a Christian home?
Growing up, no, I was not raised in a Christian home. It wasn't until my friend at school started sharing the gospel with me. So I was a teenager at 16, and that he is the one who invited me to church and lived a Christian life in front of me in high school. And that's how I came to be a follower.
Wow. So you had a friend in high school who gave the gospel and you responded, you gave your life to Jesus. That is amazing. And are you still friends with him until to this day?
That's right. And he is also working as a missionary. He's kind of serving with other missionaries, helping to do building churches and other projects around the world.
I love it. I call it the ripple effect, right? Of God, of how, he started planting the seeds and then he gave your life to Jesus. And here you are, another missionary. Wow. Thank you for that, Pastor John, for sharing where you started. You didn't grow up, but in the Christian home, but God was after your heart and you gave your life to Jesus. Now, Kelly, Miss Kelly, what about you? Were you raised in a Christian home?
I was. Yeah, I'm very thankful my parents had us in church as soon as we were born. Back in the day, Sunday morning, Sunday night, Wednesday night, you attend everything all the time. So
Wow. Wow. And so even two different backgrounds, right? But it seems like God had a plan, right? So how did you two meet?
Go ahead.
we met when um, I was in high school. I was 15 years old, and John was in ministry school, like kind of like an internship, learning to do ministry, like hands-on thing. And Pastor Johnny actually invited John's ministry school that he was a part of to come and speak, like do like a youth week at our church.
Hmm.
And so that's how I met John. But we didn't like start dating or anything. We just got to know each other a little bit for a week. Um, and then the next year, when it was time for me to graduate and figure out if I was going to college or where, I decided I wanted to go to the ministry school too. And so I did that for a year. And then later on, John and I started dating and yeah, got married.
Wow.
Yep.
What year did you meet, and then what year did you get married?
Hmm. We
So
met in 1999. No, 2000. 2000, because
yeah, so the first year was 2000, and then you came in 2001.
we got married 2004.
Oh, wow. You get married 2000. So you met 2000, 2001, get married in 2004, and then you have four children, right?
Yes,
Amazing, amazing. Two boys, two girls. Am I
that's
right?
right. Yep.
Okay, cool. What are their names?
So our oldest is Clara. And so what to give a little bit more of the story, because we've talked about Pastor Johnny Chase several
Mm-hmm.
times already.
Right.
Uh, so we went to work for Pastor Johnny in Tennessee, who was taking over a church that was struggling. And then he was there for a year, and then he asked us to come serve with him. And then Kelly and I, we were there, we got married, and a few years later, right? It was just a couple of years later that Clara was born.
Mm-hmm.
And then a year after that, our son Lincoln was born.
And
Wow.
then we also have
Oh,
another daughter. She's 13. Her name is Bonnie. And then Graham is 10.
Which I think yeah, I met
Yeah.
Bonnie and
Mm-hmm.
Graham. I
Yeah.
believe I met Graham also. Wow, amazing, amazing. So you were already serving in the church, both of you, right, with Pastor Johnny. So what made you or what led you from having a church ministry here in the United States, which was based in Tennessee, right, at that time,
Mm.
to the decision to become missionaries and of all places, the Philippines?
Well, we never really planned on becoming missionaries. It was not in our plan. But we were working part-time at the church, and John had a full-time job at a water heater factory. So he's working on the assembly line, and I just had my second baby, so I was staying home with those two kids, and we just had a nice, happy little life. We had a house, we had two cars, the American dream.
Mm-hmm.
And Pastor Johnny encouraged us. He was discipling us to read some books, and he was really challenging us to go deeper in our relationship with God, like to trust Him more and to seek out His plan for our life, whatever it would be, and to say yes to it. Um, so we were actually, pretty happy where we were, but then we started to pray, like, God, if there's something else you have for us, we'll do that too. We wanted to be obedient. And then around that time, both of our eyes were open to human trafficking in children, especially sex trafficking, and how that was real. Because I think this was in 2009 or
Mm-hmm.
so, and we just had no idea that that was happening, that children were being sold. And so at that time, we both felt really heavy in our hearts that we should do something to help those kids. So we looked on the Assemblies of God website that tells about different ministries and how you can help different ministries. So we were looking for a place that worked with children who've been rescued from sexual trafficking, sexual abuse. And we looked and looked, and there were a few places like in India, but they needed nurses, which we're not nurses. I have my degree in elementary education, and John was a children's pastor at that time. So we we're looking for somewhere we could actually be helpful. And then after pages and pages of looking, we finally found the last entry for the opportunities was in the Philippines in Cebu at Happy Horizons. And it's a home for children who've been rescued from exploitation and abuse. And then they needed elementary school teachers, and they needed a children's pastor. So we felt really clearly that
Wow.
was God's, like, this is your opportunity. So we really didn't know much about the Philippines at all. And looking back, I'm really thankful that that's where God led us. We didn't know it was, like, the best place, but yeah, it is the best place for our family, for our kids and everything. It's been a blessing to live there. But yeah, so we emailed the home was already, it had been started in 1994.
94.
So the home was already, like, going on, and the directors were there. They were also Americans that had founded Happy Horizons. So we just emailed them and asked if they needed help. Can we come and help them? And yeah, at that time, we raised the budget for the first 2-year term, and we sold our house and our cars and most of our belongings, and we went to the Philippines.
And this was 2010, correct?
Yes.
That's right, 2010.
So next
Wow.
month will be 15 years. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. So December of
Yeah,
Yeah.
2010
December.
you went. That is crazy because I think we were talking because you asked what year I came here. I came here October 2010. So
Wow.
it's like,
Wow.
we were doing that. But wow, what a blessing. And it was such a perfect fit for Pastor John and you, Miss Kelly, right? Like they needed a children's pastor and a teacher, and you both fit the bill like perfectly. It was definitely God's plan. Wow, amazing. And I'm so excited because I've been following, of course, Happy Horizons on Facebook and Instagram. I'll put all of that information later, but I just want you to tell us, you already told us how you get involved, but what is the mission and vision for HHCR or Happy Horizons? If you can tell us and share with our listeners.
So, Happy Horizons, in a very short way, mission and vision. The idea is to be a long-term aftercare home for
Mhm.
children
Mhm.
that have been rescued from sexual exploitation. And our hope is that they will, as they grow up and move out, that they will become, long-term, lifelong followers of Jesus. And
Mm.
the things that have happened to them, it it's a part of their life, but God has so much more for them, and so to help them to see that and know who He is, and we hope also to um, to end or stop uh, exploitation, so they will not carry that forward. That it was happening as a part of their life, but it doesn't have to be something that they carry forward in their life to someone else.
Mhm. Wow. And I know you mentioned before in in your sermon also, Pastor John, was that this were the children, unfortunately, who were exploited not by really other people, but unfortunately their own families. Most of the reason was poverty, right? They're like exploited because of extreme poverty. But you have rescued these children, and I think the youngest you mentioned, but is it 4 years old? As young as four? As young
That's
as four
correct.
years old. And wow. I'm glad we're talking about this because it's true. Sometimes, we don't really want to think about how horrendous this is, but it is reality. It's such an evil in not just in one country, but really it's a global thing. It's such a global thing, and we need to raise awareness. And I'm glad you mentioned that before in the sermon also was the movie, which I saw, Sound of Freedom. That was kind of different. People, they were most of the children in that situation were trapped, and so the family couldn't find them. But this situation in the Philippines is different because it was their own families that were exploiting them, which is so heartbreaking. But you said, you're rescuing these children, giving them love, giving them support, and their necessities, right? Having a roof over their heads, the food, and activities that they can do, and make them, in a way, feel human again, right? Because they were treated like they weren't, and giving them the hope, and most importantly is the freedom and the love of Jesus, which I love so so much. Now, you mentioned you didn't know anything about the Philippines, right? You didn't know that it is the best country in the whole entire planet. Now I'm teasing. I'm biased, of course, they know why, but serving in the country, serving in the Philippines, it does have different challenges, right? There, I'm sure, because I personally, when I came here, I also had some challenges and adjustments, but um, like culturally, maybe spiritual or even operational challenges. What are those challenges that your family had to go through in a way?
Hmm. It's a good question.
Yeah. I, I think the first thing that comes to mind when our children were smaller, the Filipino, like as we learned, Filipino culture, as an outsider looking in, Filipinos are very loving and kind, and so they're very helpful and they want to be helpful, and so they
Mm,
were being very um, kind to our children, but it was from our perspective as an outsider coming in, it felt like a lot of people wanted to be near our
Mm.
kids and touch their hair and hold their hand. And so
Overwhelming.
that maybe that's a good word. It certainly felt overwhelming. I know that it wasn't like constant. It would just be there would be like certain moments that it felt
Yeah.
a little overwhelming.
And
Uh,
we lived out in the province,
Mm.
so there weren't any foreigners in our village. So most of the people around our village were really like in awe to see these little
Mhm.
blonde-haired white children around, which we didn't really understand that because, in the US there's so many different ethnicities all over the place. So you never really look at someone and think, "Wow, they look different," because you're just used to seeing it. So yeah, it was kind of shocking to feel like this celebrity status of everybody's staring
Right,
at us all the
right.
time.
They
It
were
was
drawn to you. They were drawn to you. Of course, I think it goes beyond the physical, but number one is the physical, like Pastor John, he's blonde, blue-eyed. I mean, the Philippines, you can't, if you're a Filipino, it's all brown eyes, right? Like everybody kind of looks the same. But then here you are, like beautiful. Like even I personally, even now, I've been in the United States for 15 years. Like if I see somebody who's blonde and blue-eyed, I'm like, wow, I'm staring at I'm staring. I'm still mesmerized because we never really have that, right? But I think it's in good, it's nothing weird, right? But I think I understand totally because um, you were not exposed to that kind of like, just like you said, Kelly, like kind of a celebrity status, like, oh my gosh, you're gonna stare at me. But other than that, is there anything else, or was it kind of easier to assimilate? Because just like you said, I mean, truly, one thing that I'm super proud about of the Filipino people as a culture, they are very heartwarming. They're very welcoming,
yes.
hospitable. I mean, they will offer you their last bread or rice, right? It doesn't matter. I mean, it doesn't matter. And I was giving a speech last week to one of the colleges here, and I was sharing the nursing perspective to the nursing students. And I was kind of sharing with them a little bit about my experience when I was teaching in the Philippines. And we would go to communities. You probably, I don't know if you've seen it, but we have community nursing. And we would go to the communities, help take the vital signs or whatever. And then before you know it, we will be coming home with bags of saging or bananas, with bags of fish, because that's how the people want to reciprocate your kindness. They
Yeah.
just want to give you something. It doesn't matter how small or big, whatever, right? But I think as a people, like they just wanted to appreciate, they were just grateful and appreciate you so much. So I think knowing that what you're doing there also, I believe you probably have felt that from them, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Absolutely. We have being able to get to know the Philippine people. Many of our coworkers they're just wonderful people. They love God. They love the kids that we work with. Those are working in our community. We have some really wonderful people that just help and serve in our church, and it's really just encouraging.
And even when we travel to other places that are not the Philippines, we miss the smiles and the
Mhm.
friendliness, they have the
Oh,
best like customer service and just like, they greet you, hello, how
right,
are you? And then
right.
sometimes other places we are like, everyone's just very serious and we're not used to it because we're used to Filipino.
Yeah, just
I was
calling
talking to
me.
someone the other day at a church we visited, and we when we're in the States, we have the opportunity to visit a lot of different churches. And anytime we have an opportunity to visit and there's Filipinos at the church, the pastor and we'll always say the Filipinos are the happiest people. They're the hard workers. They want to help and serve here at our church. And I would
And
last
talented.
Yes. So a lot of times they're helping with music and they're helping cook and they're just very gracious people. Any place that we've had the chance to visit here in the U.S. And then last week there was someone telling me that they were in a nursing area and they were like the Filipinos that are our nurses. They're just the happiest bunch. Everyone wanted to work with them because they were just the happiest, hardworking people, and everyone else was a little more like
Because I feel like Filipinos really know how to have fun.
Mm.
Like even though
Mm,
they're old, they'll still
right,
like
right.
dance and
They will
sing and do
dance and
Yeah.
sing
karaoke, videoke,
karaoke.
you
Oh my
know?
goodness, yes.
Yeah. And some other cultures when we get older, we're just like serious.
I think there it doesn't matter. And then of course they will not stop feeding you, right? I mean,
Yeah.
they'll feed you every 5 seconds. It's that's just I feel that's our love language. That's why I wish I was so busy because I'm like, oh my gosh, I would have made you something to bring. I just like, I didn't make her something next time. But you're still here, so I might mail you something. We'll see. But so that is so cool that you truly embrace being in the Philippines, and I'm sure the Filipino people and especially children really embraced your warmness and your service for them. So, what is if you can tell our listeners, what's the typical day life for you at the Happy Horizons?
Well, it's 24/7 care of the kids. So the kids are always there, even on Christmas, even on the weekends, there's always something going on. We really like to have activities. Do you mean us personally or like
Like, I think
on the
just
ranch?
the whole, like the team, and yeah,
Okay.
for you, yeah. What would be the
Yeah.
typical? Yeah.
So our campus is, like I said, out in the province, and we have an older girls' dorm and a younger girls' dorm. We have about 35 kids that live on that campus, and then
Mhm.
we have 15 kids that live in Cebu City. And there they live in another house. We call it Happy House. And that's where they finish grades 11 and 12. And if they want to move on to college, they have the opportunity to move on to college.
Mhm.
So total, we have about 50 kids in our care at a time. Anyway, so back to the ranch. That's our main place. We
Mhm.
have a school on our campus. And so we have our little Christian private school that is all the children that we're taking care of. And then we have like a dining hall and a laundry area and a nurse's clinic, all the things that we would need to take care of the kids. So like a typical day, they'll wake up early in the morning, they'll pick up leaves and sweep the surrounding area, clean their room, make sure they're very tidy with their shoes and their clothes and their bed is made and everything. Then they'll go to breakfast and go back up to the dorm and get ready for school, put on their uniform and everything for classes. And then 8 a.m. is the flag and they do the pledge, the um, do the like the traditional school, I think in all the Philippines, right?
Mhm.
The national anthem and everything. And then
Mhm.
they have classes from all day, eight to three our class is class time. There's an hour break for lunch. And then by 3 p.m. they're doing like some extracurricular activities. Like we have a livelihood area where they make handmade crafts or they could paint or they like make rugs out of old t-shirts, things like that, like just kind
Wow.
of something to occupy your hands and your mind, you
Mhm.
know, something to do. They don't really have to do it, but it's kind of an elective. We have a lot of kids that are involved in music, so they'll have practice for chapel or practice for Sunday. They play a lot of instruments, sing, and they run the media. So like
Wow.
certain kids sign up to learn these things.
Mhm.
And then also we have like tambourine dancers on Sunday morning, so they practice their dancing. And then after school they have like playtime until dinner. Then they have dinner and go up to their dorm for like just to take a bath, rest, get
Mhm.
ready to go to sleep. And yeah, we try to have opportunities for them to do like to have their own unique things so they don't have to always be in the group. They usually like to
Mhm.
be in the group, but we don't want to force them to all choose the same activities all the time. And then on Saturdays we have like community church.
Mhm.
So our community outreach, sorry, for our church that meets on Sundays, there's like a community outreach for the very far places that are like too far for the congregation to walk, but they don't have a church around that area. So we have a team of local church members and then also some of our older girls from Happy Horizons. They'll go out in the community and do like an outreach especially for the kids and then like house church kind of thing. Sunday
Wow.
we have church, and
Mhm.
Sunday usually they either take a nap in the afternoon or they have popcorn and movie time. So they
Wow.
alternate those days.
That's
Yeah,
amazing.
try
Interesting.
to keep it busy enough so they're not just sitting around
Mm-hmm.
being bored and wondering, what am I doing here? But
Right.
we try to change it up and make it fun.
Yeah.
Wow, wow. Wow, there's a lot of them, a lot that they can do, just like you said, livelihood trainings, even
Oh,
playtime, right? You have
yeah, and
something.
also we have counseling. So like
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
in groups, they'll do like counseling
Is
every
it
week.
per age brackets or how does that work with the
Yeah,
counseling?
per age bracket.
Mhm.
Okay.
And then we also have like if they have to go to a court hearing
Hmm.
because of their case, then they'll go to the city and do a court hearing. And then we also try to do family visits periodically so that they can meet with safe family members
Mm-hmm.
and keep that relationship going so that when they do grow up and leave the ranch as an adult, that they'll still have some contacts that are
Mm.
healthy and safe contacts for them to have.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Wow, wow. I love it. Now, how many staff do you have? Because it seems like, it's a big operation at this point. Do you know?
Yeah, we have about 40 staff, which
Wow.
is so many. But because we have our teachers, our house
Right.
parents, security
Mm-hmm.
guards, like office workers, we have a lot of different stuff. And they're really what makes the ranch
That's right.
function. It's not like John and I are sitting in the Philippines with 50 kids that we're all
Yeah.
taking care of.
No, no, no.
We want them to be raised as Filipinos
That's right.
with yeah, the Filipino
Wow.
staff are amazing.
They
Oh.
really are wonderful people, and that's one of my favorite parts is to be around them as they're around the students because the kids really love them and respect them.
Mm-hmm.
They see them because they're moms or their grandmothers or their fathers or grandfathers and
They're a
uh,
support system, right? It really
yeah.
becomes family. Wow, wow.
And so the to see them extend that same love and grace to the children at Happy Horizons, just being in the kitchen. I'm thinking of our cooks.
Mm.
The kids love to be in the kitchen, just learning how to cook the different meals or some,
Mm-hmm.
washing the dishes, but they're around some of our other really wonderful coworkers and the teachers. The teachers, there's a part of that I have to be a professional teacher and do my job, but the other part is I'm also, in a way, a big sister to this student, and so
Mm-hmm.
navigating that relationship, they are really, really good at that.
Wow, that's beautiful. Now, what about your children? How did they they grew up in that environment. How did they navigate this missionary life?
It was kind of tricky. Um, like we said, when we first moved there, they were pretty overwhelmed. They were 2 and 3 years old, and so that was like a big shock to all of us. But then everybody kind of got used to them after a while on our campus, and so the two would join the preschool program, like the nursery, and
Mm.
they had maybe five other little kids in that area that were not yet old enough for school. And so I remember like one of the first days, one of the kids told my daughter, I'll play with you, but only if you speak Bisaya. And my daughter, of course, didn't know Bisaya. And I was kind of like, oh, they need to speak English.
Mm.
Some like I wanted to step in, but my
Mhm.
daughter just said, okay. And then
You took the
both of
challenge, right?
yeah. And
Yeah,
they're
that's
so
cool.
young, they learned it really quickly. And so
Mm.
both of those two are very fluent in Bisaya. And
Yeah.
Wow.
they have a lot of good memories from growing up at the ranch. They're both in college now, but they talk about the Philippines a lot. And they had, yeah, what some of their closest friends are the kids who grew up at Happy Horizons. Our two younger kids had a little bit different experience because when they were starting school, there weren't a lot of children their age, like
Mm.
for their class and their grade level. Especially my youngest son, there was nobody else in kindergarten, so he was alone. So I ended up homeschooling him because I didn't
Mm.
want to take a teacher's time solely to teach my own kid. So I ended up, long story, but I homeschooled my two younger kids, and because of that, they didn't learn Bisaya as well.
Mm.
But they sure do know how to eat fried fish and
Mm.
rice.
With their hands? With
Yeah,
rice? Oh my
yes.
goodness.
And
That
right
is
now
so
we're in the States, and it's cold. And my
Mm.
son, he's lived here 2 out of his 10 years. He's lived
Oh.
in the US, and both of them, he was a baby or a toddler. So he's never really experienced the cold weather. And
Mm.
he keeps saying, I can't wait to go back to the Philippines. I miss
Where
the
it's warm.
Philippines. I'm going to live in the Philippines forever.
Oh, that is so precious. Oh, I love that. I love that. That is so precious. It's so nice that they get to see the culture and even really experience it and really embrace it. And that's one thing when you mentioned about that little girl probably told your little girl like, oh, you have to speak Bisaya. The funny thing was, it's kind of like in a way like pride on that little girl's side that hey, I'm gonna teach this, American kid Bisaya, and when they learn, you'll be like, hey, I taught her, like, and it's so
Yeah.
fun for them, yeah. Because I remember that when we were growing up, and then we had some exchange students. We were like so excited to teach them. But anyway, so that is so amazing. So if you can share, of course, we want to protect our privacy and all that. But if you have maybe one or two stories of how I'm sure every single child there has been positively and deeply impacted with this ministry that you're serving, right? But if there's one or two stories that really stand out, if you can share with our audience.
Okay, so I'm going to tell one of the all the students are just amazing, and I love um, knowing where they are now. I mean,
Mm.
each one has a unique story, and but one of the ones that it sticks in my heart, it sticks in my mind. Early on, when my daughter Bonnie, so our number three child, was just a baby. I mean, not even really walking yet. Kelly was helping in the nursery, and and we had these two other children that had come in. Um, and again, similar stories. The people who should have taken care of them were not taking care of them. Uh, and so when they came in, uh, they were not able to communicate the things that they wanted. If they were sad, they would just scream and cry. And anytime we would change from just one location to the next, they would scream and cry. The older one, and
5.
she was five, and the next one was four or three even.
3. Yeah, she's 2.
So three and five, and the younger one would just she just had a blank look all the time. She never got happy, she never got sad, and they wouldn't like put food in their mouth. We had to actually feed them, and to so they were they were just having trouble. That's what I mean. Um, but when Bonnie was there with Kelly in the nursery, Bonnie would come and she would be upset, and so Kelly would get Bonnie and sit her right in her lap, and those two girls would stop what they're doing and come over and just sit right in Kelly's lap. And so now they were calm, everything was okay. And so Kelly, as long as we would sit here reading a book and Bonnie was here and they're all three of them are sitting in her lap, things just felt better. Uh, but that type of motherly love of just being there with the child. It wasn't about, teaching them something or trying to make them learn this. It was just being there with them and sharing those moments of peace. And now both of those students, um, they're both teenagers. They're beautiful young ladies. They're friendly. They, the younger one, who is not speaking at all, is an amazing singer. She really is a
Wow.
fabulous singer. And the older one, she still has some difficulties, like in school, but her heart, she's so kind. She's the friendliest, just human, just young lady. I'm so proud to know both of them, and see where they've come and see what God's done in their life. I'm so proud of those sisters.
Wow. Oh my goodness. And wow. Wow. I can just imagine when Kelly had that baby and then this two. Yeah, I mean they were kind of like toddlers, or I mean, and then sometimes our mind cannot comprehend the trauma that these kids went through, right?
Yeah.
But when you're seeing them, one was nonverbal and the other one was just screaming, and it's just no peace, right? It's like, how do you deal with that? It's so hard. Like, even no matter what your training is, right? I mean, that is a hard thing, but just like you said, Pastor John, that they saw Kelly's love, right? That motherly love that they've been longing for their whole childhood, right? I mean, at that age, and wow, what an impact! What an impact! That's such a beautiful story you shared. Thank you so much for that. And of course, the integral part of this ministry is the love of Jesus, right?
Amen.
Um, when you're teaching or sharing, you're starting to share about Jesus. Are there some pushback from the kids?
I feel like we really try to, it's like tricky because we know that these kids have been forced to do things they didn't want to do, and we don't ever want them to feel like they're forced to accept Christianity. um, but at the same time, they're kids and we want to teach them, train them up in the way they should go, right?
Mm.
So we have our church every Sunday. We have a Christian school where they need to memorize Bible verses. um, and they hear a lot of Bible stories and scripture. Our staff pray for them, and we so they're like kind of surrounded by worship songs and prayer and Bible verses. But at the same time, we don't want to force them like you have to believe this or we're not going to take care of you. We want them to
Mm.
feel like very comfortable to live the life that they're choosing to live. So, um, but in general, I feel like when the kids come, they're pretty broken, and some of them are like really hard-hearted, especially if they're older,
Mm.
and they're angry at their parents for the situation, or whoever is the one that was abusing them. They're really hard about those, which is definitely understandable. But for the most part, I feel like the majority of the girls that we take in are just like like um desperate for a savior. They
Mm.
want they want someone to rescue them. Sorry for my
No,
emotions.
please don't apologize.
They're looking for
Okay.
someone to say that it's going to be okay. There's a plan here. This is not, you still have a future. So when we can share these verses with them and share these songs with them, they tend to really like grab hold of that and be like, yes, so God cares about me. And of
Mm.
course there are questions like, why would he allow this to happen in the first place? And those are so difficult. But I feel like the majority of the kids really want to have a heavenly father and
Mm.
want to feel that love. um but yeah, I mean, not every girl that comes through our children's home is coming out a bright, shiny Christian, of
Mm.
course. And yeah, we love them through everything. Some of them have really difficult pasts, and maybe they don't trust men, and they don't like
Mm.
men, and that leads to a whole other set of issues.
Right.
So we really tried to just be there for them, and slowly, it's not like the first day that they come into our home, we're like,
Mm.
this is what we believe. And this is like, we try
Right.
to lead them gently.
Mm.
And they do have to come to church on Sunday. That's a rule, but they don't have to participate. If they want to sit on the back row with their hands folded, that's just fine with us as long as they're present.
Mm.
But we've found that the majority of them really want to be involved. They love to, like we said, the tambourine dancers, or they want to be on the worship team, or they really do love to be involved with that. And it's been beautiful to see the girls who've been there longer, or who've had a relationship with Jesus longer. They are the ones who are telling the new girls,
Yes.
hey, you should believe this. Listen to this song. Listen to
Mm.
this verse. And like they really testify to each other about the goodness of God. And that's really
I
a
think
beautiful thing to see. Yeah.
I think that's one of my very favorite things is it's rarely like me or us
Yeah.
as the missionary like leading the child to the Lord, like praying through the prayer. Many times it's the students themselves, the
Mm.
older ones they've come to know who Jesus is, what he means in their life, and they're opening the Bible with the newest young lady that's with us. and saying, these are the verses that I've highlighted. This is what God has spoken to me. And
Wow.
that's an
That's
amazing
powerful.
thing.
Yes,
Yeah.
thank you. And it makes sense also to them because this children who grew up and now is also serving in the ministry, right? They went through what those little ones who are coming in went through. And now they have been freed from all this traumas and evil that happened in their life, and now they're a living testimony of the love of God. And this is why my core Bible verse really in this podcast is Revelation 12:11. We overcome him, who's him, the enemy, through the blood of the Lamb and the word of our testimony. And we do
Amen.
not love our lives to the death. So this is so powerful. They have become mentors to these little ones who are coming in, and they're sharing their faith, their testimony, and hey, look at where we were, but look at where I am right now. Oh, powerful. I think that's why it really works because, of course, the love that you and Kelly are, pouring into this children, the service, everything, just making everything work together was, they can see that. But of course, along with the staff and the students themselves who came back and now serving, wow, it's like full circle. What a beautiful thing God is doing in Happy Horizons. One verse comes into my mind is of course with what happened to Joseph, right? When his own brothers, well, tried
Yes.
to kill him, and well,
Yeah.
eventually they sold him to slavery, but God had a plan in his life. And when Joseph talked to his brothers later on, he's like, what you meant for evil, God meant it for good.
Yeah.
And I think that is a powerful testimony to those now young women who are serving the Lord and their lives have changed. Wow. Wow. Oh, don't worry, Kelly. I'll be bawling my eyes out later too. I mean, the first time I heard Pastor John talked about it, I mean, I hugged you and bawled my eyes out because it really impacted me. It really did impacted me. Um, so, of course, you're a couple, you have your own family to raise as well, along with your ministry, right? What can you share to families also in the mission field who are serving the Lord? What are those maybe practices or spiritual disciplines that help you stay refreshed and aligned with God's calling in your life? If you can share.
I think one of the things you said earlier, like when we were praying beforehand, you said, this is not my podcast, it's the Lord's podcast. I feel like that's whatever your ministry is, but for us, for Happy Horizons, like if we think of it like this is our responsibility, that we have to take care of all of these kids and all of these staff and raise this budget, then it feels so overwhelming. Like we cannot do it on our own. But if you think of it like this is God's ministry and
Sure.
He's going to provide, and He loves these children or these people more than we do, and He has a good plan, and His reach extends beyond where our hands can go.
Wow.
It's a good way to keep it like balanced, that you don't feel all the pressure all the time.
And then I would say for our family also, um, just like Kelly, those things we hear in church all the time. I mean, I hope having your personal devotion time where it's you and the Lord. So Kelly has her time where she's reading the Bible and she's talking to the Lord, and I do the same. Those, and I don't think that's necessarily like because we're a missionary or because we're in His services, because we're a follower. I want to follow the Lord the best I can anywhere.
Sorry.
And so with that, but also helping our kids to like our four see that in us, but also encourage them to do the same thing. So they are learning the Bible and going to church because as a family we love the Lord and we want to follow Him. And giving our kids that same opportunity to make their choice to follow, and when they're ready, I want to follow and I want to be baptized. Uh, Allowing them to make the choice instead of always, I don't know, forcing them maybe, or letting them know that their relationship with the Lord is important, but it's got to be theirs and they have to make the choice.
Amen. Amen. I love that. Thank you. And I think what you're both of you are saying, just being rooted, right? in the Word of God, having your own personal relationship with Jesus, because just like we said, Miss Kelly, if we're doing this out of our own strength, we will fail, right? It will be
Absolutely.
a lot of pressure too. That's why when we hand it over to God, like, Lord, this is your ministry, right? This is, you gave this to us, so you will give us the strength to go through whatever we're gonna go through in what you give us. So, do you also partner with local agencies, like, leaders in the area regarding your ministry? Are they aware of your ministry in your area, like in Cebu?
Like DSWD, we have to be accredited with them. Is that what
Oh,
you mean?
okay. No, I'm just wondering if they're like, you know how they're partnering, or like with regards to, they know that you guys exist, obviously, right? Because you have to be accredited with DSWD, but how
Yeah.
awareness of the people basically around in that area.
So that can be a little bit tricky because we don't want like the location of our children's home to be really well known just
Right,
for the
right.
privacy of our girls.
Correct. Yeah.
So we
That's a
don't want
good
it to
point.
be easily found.
Mm,
But we do want to be known, like what you're saying,
mm,
for partners and for people who would want to be involved.
right.
So we have a pretty strong social media presence. We have a website, but we don't show like the kids' faces or our
Yes,
location or things like that.
absolutely.
Um, but we also partner with like, do you, what's we have like a counseling center, Restore Family Services, that they do counseling for our girls.
Mm-hmm.
And we partner with Everfree, which is an organization that does like life skills training for our older girls as they're getting ready
Oh,
to transition into adulthood, and
nice.
helps them like make a resume and practice interviews and all these kind of training things. And then later on, they help them find jobs. Like, if,
Mm,
uh-huh. What
wow.
else?
And then we have a good network of Assemblies of God churches, primarily Assemblies of God, not all Assemblies of God. We have some other wonderful churches that like to give to the kids every Christmas, and so that's very
Mm,
generous, that they will take up offerings or make gifts for the kids. So I feel like we have a good network of
mm-hmm.
churches and pastors and friends who also they'll contact us if they hear about a story, something that we can help with, like that, in and around Cebu.
Wow, amazing. Well, that's awesome. So, if you can, tell our listeners and our audience, how they can follow you and social media, Facebook, and they can also support, most importantly, is support this ministry, because why wouldn't you want to support this amazing? I feel it doesn't just, for me personally, when I see what you guys are doing, it's not just, of course, I'm a Christian, right? I'm maybe biased because I love to support, with Christian ministry, but not just that. I mean, the aspect of supporting, giving these children like a second life, meeting their physical, emotional, and spiritual needs. That's huge. That is so big. And of course, there's so many ministries out there, but I feel this ministry is one of, especially, again, I'm biased because it's Cebu City. It's, well, in my it's these people I probably, I don't know if I know them or not, but it doesn't matter. Like, that's why it's so personal to me when I'm interviewing you guys. This is personal to me, truly. So yeah, if you can invite them, how they can find you, support you, and the website.
Yeah. So our website is hhcr.org. So those letters stand for Happy Horizons Children's Ranch. And we know that's a long name, but Filipino, we like to have a really long name.
Yeah.
Right? So, and our social media, our Facebook and Instagram is Happy Horizons Children's Ranch. Hmm.
Both the same, right? Happy Horizons
Yes.
Children's Ranch. Okay, I
Yep.
do follow both of them, and all of those information will be in the description. And if they want to partner with you, donate, they can do it on the website, correct?
That's
Yep. Yes.
Okay,
that.
great, great. Okay, perfect. We are celebrating Thanksgiving, right? But I always say, if we are, when we look at, I mean, here in the United States, right? Let's face it, when we open our pantry, I mean, we're grateful to God that we do have the abundance of food. I mean, I'm not saying everybody, but we can still, one thing. because I did grow up poor. I don't know if I told you that, Kelly. I remember food was so hard for us to get. And when I came here, when I first came here and I went to the grocery store, I remember when I was still in the Philippines though, like bacon is like luxury for us. Like I have never eaten bacon. And I came over here and you go to a grocery store, like anybody can buy bacon, right? Like things like that. So I feel like this is a good call to action, especially for us Americans here who we know we're grateful. We are so grateful for the abundance of blessings that God has given us. And what is the best thing to do in this season, the holiday season? Sometimes it's easier, oh, I'll buy this for myself, or, I mean, obviously, if you want to, go for it, but Jesus said it is better to give than to receive. So, anyone listening to me right now and watching this video later on, I just really pray about it, obviously pray about it, but this ministry is really dear to my heart, and I will continue to, talk about you guys and share this, and so that because I know many, many, many children will be impacted um with what the ministry that you're doing. So thank you both so much.
Amen. Thank you, Coach Blanche. Thanks for having us share.
Thank you
Absolutely.
very
It's my
much.
pleasure. And if there's one last thing you wanted to leave, either you, Pastor John, or Miss Kelly, for our listeners, the floor is yours.
Um, well, I would like to say I know that we've kind of pulled back a kind of a dark corner of the Philippines, but I hope that it was also abundantly clear. The Philippines is a beautiful place, and we work with some really wonderful, wonderful people. And so this area is dark and difficult, but it's also Filipino people that are shining the light in the dark places. And so I hope that we didn't come across anything negative about the Philippines and all. We love the kids and we love the people, and it's just great. We feel very blessed to be in the Philippines and serving, and also this problem, as we mentioned earlier, it's not exclusive to the Philippines. It
Mhm.
really is. It's happening. It looks a little different in every part of the world, but it is happening. And so if you see something or it's raise the alarm, say something,
Mhm.
ask something, speak up, because you could be the one who's helping that person, that child, get help.
Amen. Amen. Exactly. And Pastor John, Filipinos would not receive it that way, though. They are aware and they are always grateful for, especially our missionaries. I personally, my life has been impacted by a missionary. Why? Because I went to my school is called Silliman University, and it is an American institution. How did that happen? Well, in 1901, Dr. Horace B. Silliman, he was a philanthropist from New York, and he gave $10,000 to the Presbyterian Church to send missionaries to my country. And in 1901, they started, it's called Silliman University. Well, at that time, Silliman Institute, it started like less than 20 students, and it blew up, and now it's one of the biggest and actually world-renowned school in the Philippines, in Dumaguete City. I don't know if you've been there, but
Yeah, we've driven by before. Yeah.
oh, great. Yeah, with all the acacia trees, they're known for that. And I'm so grateful because I found Jesus there. Because we had religious studies and it's really Christian based. And so again, I am impacted with all the missionaries that God sends to our country. And that's his mercy. And unfortunately, this evil thing that we're talking about is here because of sin, right? It is a
Yeah.
That's
fallen
right.
world. It is a fallen world. However, we are called to be the salt and the light of the world.
Amen.
And with this mission that you're doing, and all of us as Christians, we can share the love of Jesus and we can shine his light because light drives out darkness, right?
Amen.
So I would want to leave everyone with this Matthew 19:14. But Jesus said, let the children come to me and do not hinder them, for to such belongs the kingdom of heaven. So if this episode impacted you, I just want you to share, like, and subscribe, and please follow the Anointed Life with Coach Blanche. Thank you again, Pastor John Kelly, and we wish you happy Thanksgiving with your whole family. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.